It's time to talk some shit on the Powell Movement.
Welcome to the Powell Movement. I'm your host, Mike Powell, and this week, well, it's Tuesday again, and I'm recording my intro, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to re-record it later on in the week because it's inauguration week in the United States. And based on the way that we've treated each other in this country over the past 4 years, most likely something's going to go down and I'm going to have to re-record this whole intro again, and that kind of bums me out. Hopefully I'm wrong. The last time we had an inauguration, I was super bummed. The person I wanted to win lost. And you know what I did? Absolutely nothing. I accepted the loss, and while I wasn't a big fan of our new president-elect, he was our president-elect, and I was going to treat him that way. I let my kid know that while I didn't like the man and the lack of values or human decency he has, it is what it is, and that's what makes America great, democracy. And while I thought that was good parenting, teaching him that you can't always get what you want, what my kid learned from the presidency is that you don't have to be nice or fair to get what you want. Treating people like shit is okay, especially in America, and lying is fine too, as long as it fits your agenda. The funny thing is, my kid doesn't get the whole politics thing. He's a little bit too young for that. So all he understands is that Trump is an asshole to everyone, and that's totally cool. He understands through his parents that it's not totally cool, and hopefully we're able to teach him that lesson. But it's pretty crazy, and to me, this 4-year experiment wasn't worth it. Sure, my 401k went up like 10 grand, but the moral fabric of our society eroded so much over the past 4 years. It's like we took a middle class that was finally looking like a bunch of Target shoppers and turned them all back into Walmart folks. And while I love both stores, the pricing might be a little bit better at Walmart, but the service and safety level has always felt better at Target. Anyways, this is another total rant when really I should be talking about my amazing guest this week. He should be the president of skiing. I'm talking about the greatest North American skier of our time, Tanner Hall. I would say the greatest skier of our time, but I feel like Candide might have a one-up on Tanner, but I'm not sure. It's kind of neck and neck, and you can pick whoever you want. They're both amazing and influential skiers. Tanner needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway. The ski boss has been killing it since the 90s, and he's been on top of the game forever. He's 38 years old now. And if you think about it and look back at his career, he's got more X Games medals than Dumont, more game-changing segments than the B&E boys, and he's been on the podcast before. He's told his life and times story on the Powell Movement for episode 100. It was pretty amazing, and I highly recommend that you go back and check that out in the archives. Currently, Tanner is waiting to get his stitches out from his recent Achilles injury. The stitches come out on January 20th, and you can bet Tanner will be back outworking everyone, as that is what this man does. I'm not going to spoil my conversation with Tanner, but before I get into it, I want to ask you to do a few things for me. First, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to it. Second, tell a friend about the show. That's how this thing grows. And third, follow me on Instagram at The Powell Movement. I'm trying to get to that elusive 10,000 follower mark so I can post links and you can swipe up and go to them, but I'm not there yet, so I need every follow I can get. So please do that for me. And please support my amazing sponsors who I want to keep all year long. They're Stanley, Peter Glenn Ski and Sports, Glade Optics, Weed Maps, the 10 Barrel Brewery, and Elon Skis. Now, let's talk to a living motherfucking legend, Tanner Hall. Dude, I can hear you. This is great.
Yeah, dude, I'm in Civilization in Salt Lake City.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to do my fucking PT and recovery and everything here.
Yeah, sorry about the injury, man.
Fuck, whatever, dude. It happens. I only did one, and it's fucking not even close, dude. My last injury, I couldn't even take a shit or take a piss without it fucking being, like, an excruciating pain. So, like, I'm not even really that swollen. It's not really that painful. So it's kind of like, dude, why the fuck do I have to wait 10 months? Because it feels like in 6 weeks I would be ready to go. But the way she goes,
Yeah. Well, before we talk about the injury, you were full of early season trips this year. We've been talking since, like, October. And it seems like you've been getting shit done from, like, once it started snowing until now. You were up at Baker first. Who were you with there?
Well, my first trip to Baker was dope because I linked up my filmer for the real ski shit was this dude named Leland McNamara. And he's been a pretty big filmer in the snowboard world for years. And I don't know, he, like, shot with Sage Kotzenberg for Enjoy. He did a lot of shooting with Kazu Kokobu for his movie, The Kazu Hero Project.
Yep.
I mean, I grew up playing soccer with the dude. He's just a whitefish kid, and I knew he was been filming in the industry for a while. And when the kid again, my filmer, who I was wanting to get shit done with, he's really making a lot of clothes and getting into his clothing line and just doing more fashion. So his head wasn't really in the game to kind of like go insano with like 5 a.m. missions and pulling wench and shoveling, and just building a segment is not like mellow work.
Right.
Especially the older you get. So it was dope that when he kind of said, like, dude, I just don't know if I'm the guy for the job. The first dude I called up, Leland, was all about it. So when me and Leland got the plan to go to Baker, we basically called up Jason Robinson, and he's a pro snowboarder from the Valley, Flathead Valley, where I grew up.
Aaron Robinson's brother, right?
Yeah, A-Rob's brother. So it was rad to link up with J-Rob because, like, the last time I shredded with him, I think we were both like 10 years old. So it was pretty sick, dude. And I knew J-Rob was like really good. But holy fuck, dude, he'd been shredding like for 2 weeks before we got out to Baker because Washington was getting hit and like Montana wasn't. So he had been shredding some, and I just remember taking the first chairlift ride on day one, and it was just puking in the parking lot. And Leland's kind of like, we're gonna just get some shots of like the snow and the snow plows moving snow. You and J-Rob start going and getting warmed up and just get a feel for the place. So I was like, fuck yeah, let's do this. Not realizing, dude, he's like one of the best snowboarders in the world.
Right.
So it's like, day one, Mount Baker, fucking kind of heavier snow. I haven't taken a lap yet. And I just remember getting up chair 10 with him, and I'm looking around like, fuck, this place is sick. And he's like, yeah, dude, this warm-up run's going to be dope. Just follow me. And then it really hit me. Like, it only took probably like 200 feet for me to like start feeling the leg burn. And then he dropped over some blind roll into some fucking crazy shit, and it just hit me like, oh my god, dude, this kid is like on a serious level, and he's been snowboarding and I haven't done shit.
You would go from summer to in it right away?
Yeah, 100, like 0 to 100, and especially like following a kid around. Like, I knew he was really good, but fuck, dude, he's on that level of like Nicholas Mueller or Rice, or these kids where the comfortability on his board, it's like, fuck, dude, some people were just born to do that shit, and it just kind of might have bit off more than I could chew because I got real fucking sore day one, and it was like only took 3 runs to kind of be like, holy shit, dude, like I got to go kind of like calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
But which was really nice, it got broken in really good. And I think when we showed up day 2 and the sun broke out, we just got down to work, and me and J-Rob just started building a bunch of jumps to try to get some airtime. And it was really nice. He kind of just basically came to help shovel and help the program and just help us stack shots. So that was wicked. We got like maybe 4 days or 5 days of filming, and then went back because it like rained to the top.
Yep.
But then it only took maybe a week of chilling before like, holy shit, dude, I guess we're going back to Baker. And we went back to Baker and saw Pat McCarthy the last day we were hitting the Mount Baker Cat Gap, and linked up with J-Rob again pretty much. And I had a hometown buddy named Bear Evans who just came and helped shovel and helped the program as well. So we had 2 really good Baker trips before even Christmas, you know what I mean? And that was amazing because to me, Mount Baker, fuck, dude, that's the real deal, And it's wicked to know a resort like that can actually like still be a thing in the U.S.
Yep.
Ticket prices aren't out of control, and there's not even one high-speed chairlift there. It's all run off of generators. Gwen and her granddad, or Gwen and her dad, are just really good down-home, down-to-earth people that are running the sickest fucking resort I think United States has to offer. And it's not for everybody. I mean, even to the drive, like if you're staying in Bellingham, that drive up to Baker is fucking insane. And even if you're in Glacier, if it's snowing in harsh conditions, like you can die on that road alone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was wicked to kind of like, I've been to Baker before, but it had been since Believe, where I was there with Mikey P and CR.
So that's a while, like forever ago.
Yeah, forever ago. And I mean, when I was there that first trip, we got 146 inches in 6 days. I didn't even see we didn't see anything other than chair 7. So it was like really nice actually to see Mount Baker and it's all of its glory, just caked with like really good stable snow and just sun. And it's like almost Whistler in a way, like in the United States. It's fucked up.
I mean, you look out when the sun breaks and see that arm, and just, it is insane.
It really is. And the glaciated terrain, it's like, it's really cool to know that actually exists here in the States,
Yeah, and then after those trips, you go to a total shithole, which has some amazing urban features, and I call it a shithole because I worked there and I hated the job I had there for a year, but Minneapolis, or you go to Minnesota, and you're filming for X Games Real Snow, and you're heading into a zone that, like, a 22-year-old Tanner Hall should be in, just like, given you've been doing it forever and it's not like a 22-year-old you should be doing it, but you're fucking 38 years old, man. It's crazy that you're going to go back into the fucking grind of like the craziest shit out there that's so unpredictable. Do you go into Minnesota with a plan, or are you going to go in and recon spots and then hit them?
Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Since I had never been to Minnesota, and fuck, I don't even know how long I'd been since I took an urban trip. And so once I got there, I mean, I knew a lot of people from Minnesota, and so did Leland. So it wasn't really a problem to try to like find spots or anything. And it was kind of overload. You know what I mean? Because I love hitting street spots, but I'm usually like hitting them in like ski towns where it's really hard to hit street features in ski towns. I mean, fuck, especially during the day, because if cops roll up on you, you're done. You know what I mean? In Minnesota, we had fucking janitors coming out of from schools and being like, "Dude, we're not calling the cops. We're not saying anything. We're just telling you don't get hurt and please clean this up." It's like cops driving by, multiple cop cars driving by our spots and just not doing anything. And I didn't know if maybe it was because like COVID and fucking Minnesota's like shut down right now, and no better time. We were there over like New Year's and Christmas vacation with COVID, and all the schools are shut down and all the churches, everything. So it was like, fuck, dude, this is probably like prime time to go.
Yeah.
Which it was, and it was sick. You know what I mean? It was a bummer that we only got 2 features done, and on the 3rd feature, it kind of fucking all came to an end real quick. But I mean, that's the name of the game, dude. I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew my age. I knew what was going on, and I was ready to take that risk. And when you roll the dice, and especially when you're trying to do some shit like the real snow, I mean, if you take that invitation for an X Games part, like I'm gonna tell you what, it's fucking dope, because like it was giving me strength and giving me energy that I definitely wouldn't have had if I wasn't trying to film a part for this, you know?
Well, you have to put out a Tanner Hall part. It's not like you can put out some half-ass thing because you're fucking Tanner Hall. It's not like you can ruin your legacy with a part that isn't worthy. And all that you've been doing for the past 20 years is getting better at skiing. It's like almost like you're at a peak right now.
Yeah, man. Well, it was good, and I wanted to take advantage of that. You know what I mean? And it's pretty sick, like what kids are doing in the streets right now, and especially after seeing the last 2 years or the last 3 years of these real snow edits, from like Jake Majot to, you know, Alex Hackle to Phil Casabone to Magnus Grenier to Henrik Harlow. Like everybody has just put out such hammer parts that like if you're gonna do this, you better fucking go all in or not go in at all. So that was kind of my mentality, was like to go all in. And you know, I kept saying to everybody, it was like, if I can survive till January 27th, this is going to be the best winter of my life. And, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, I knew it was going to be a survival thing, and just, it was a bummer I didn't survive. But like at the end of the day, it could have been way worse. And I mean, you always think it's going to be a knee or maybe an ankle or a shoulder or something. So like, it was pretty freak on how that happened. And to tear your Achilles tendon, like I said, man, my last injury, I couldn't even like take a piss without like excruciating pain.
All your injuries are doubles, man.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I was like, fuck, dude, I only did one limb. Like, this is really mellow. Like, I can get around. I can do stuff for myself. It's like I might be going a little bit slower. But just to know that both of my injuries before this one was, like, so debilitating that I just couldn't do anything for myself. And that's what really put this one into perspective, because, like, the depression and all the shit is not there right now, you know?
You've got a normal injury.
I have a normal injury. I'm not in excruciating pain. It's not even really that swollen. You know, I think my perspective of pain and injury is so fucking gnarly that this right here, this is so mellow. And it's like, it's almost like nice in my heart, where it's like I've been going for 11 years straight without a break, not slowing down. My life was crazy off the hill. And it's just like, I'm just taking it as like God was just being like, bro, you need to slow down for like maybe 9 months, and then just kind of take a step back and like figure out what your ultimate goal is with the skiing stuff. Because that's what's dope. As you get older, you can actually like really focus in on like what you want to do. And I was going so fast that I don't even know if I knew what I was trying to accomplish at that point. It was just like, go, go, go.
Dude, you've always been project, it seems like. There's no slowing down for you. So yeah, like you said, you chill now.
Exactly, man. And like, that's a good thing, because like already I've got all these GED testing books that I'm going to start getting into here, and hopefully have that GED come like June or July. And that's mainly just because like I got a lot of time on my hands right now, and I know the GED probably is not going to do a lot for me moving forward. What it's going to really do is make my parents so fucking stoked that I actually finished the one thing that I think they still really want me to finish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because getting that GED is going to do absolutely nothing for you. But like you say, your parents will be stoked. That'll make you feel better. And it's one of the few things that people online and stuff have here and there talk shit about you just because they could when you were out being a pro skier and they're like, he didn't even finish high school. It's like, he didn't finish high school because he was fucking busy winning more X Games medals than you could ever dream of. And now you can go check that off your list and get that behind you. But when you get hurt, when you tear your Achilles at 38 years old, you go down. Do you call an ambulance and go to the hospital right away? Or do you have a doctor that you want to work with in Utah? How do these things happen?
Well, I mean, I got kind of lucky just because I had a good support team out in Minnesota. I've been kicking it with a girl lately that she came out and like right when I hit the ground, she called the hospital and had a great support team between Brandon, Leland, and Melissa. It was really good because obviously when I was on the ground and I took my boot off and I saw like the big divot in my Achilles, I was like, I'm not going to lie. There was like probably 5 to 10 minutes of like, oh, my life is over. The career's over, all this shit. But then I don't know, man, it wasn't that painful. And it was just like, it kind of hit me that this is going to be okay. And then everybody was like, we didn't even call the ambulance. They called the hospital. And we called 2 hospitals before. It's like midnight. And we're like, yo, how long is the wait to get into a doctor to see? Because we have somebody that tore their Achilles tendon. They're like, about 2 hours. And I'm sitting there hearing that. I'm like, wait, what? For like a torn Achilles, we're going to have to sit in the waiting room for 2 hours?
Right.
So like we called the Mayo Clinic in downtown Minneapolis. And they were like, yeah, we'll get you right in. So thank God that they were like, yeah, just bring them in. We're pretty mellow. So I loaded up in the truck. And again, like it was so weird, bro. Like, every time I've like torn something or broke something, I swell. Yeah, that's what my doctors were saying before. Like you're a crazy healer. So like if your body's like a healing body, you promote swelling because swelling is just trying to safeguard joints and trying to get blood flow to it and whatnot. So when I didn't see the swelling and whatnot, it was like all confusing and being like, I'm like going to the hospital being like, maybe it's not torn. Like, maybe I'm good. Because like the amount of pain that last injury was with the 2 broken legs and 2 torn ACLs, I just didn't have anything to go off, dude. I felt like the only thing I learned about pain was you can only endure so much until you pass out.
Dude, I mean, what you've done to yourself is like you've experienced the ultimate trauma. And so this is, like you said, like a scratch. It's really nothing bad compared to what you had.
Exactly. So it was just a bit confusing. And then when I got to the hospital, like they were trying to be like, well, if it's bad enough, the surgeon's going to come in. And if like they think you need it, we're going to just do it right now. And that's when I was kind of like, well, here's my background. This is where I'm from. I fucking had Cooley working on my knees. And then there's Dr. Beals, who's like right in Cooley's center. And he's like one of the best dudes for feet and ankles and Achilles and all this shit. So I was like, just let me get back to Park City, please. And like I had to wait kind of like 2 hours in the hospital by myself, just nobody coming in. And then the surgeon came in and she like just looked at it and she was like, so you're from Park City. Do you want to go back there for surgery? Okay, that's great. Have a good night and safe flight home. And I was like, fuck, dude, your typical like get to the hospital and hurry up and wait for like a 30-second answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was crazy. Like we get out of the hospital around like 2:30 in the morning. I get back to the hotel. We all start packing our bags. And then me and my girl got dropped off at the airport at like 5 in the morning. We were on a plane by 6 in the morning. We were in Salt Lake City by 7:30. And then I had surgery booked by like noon the next day.
Wow.
So it was like I got hurt at 11:30 or midnight on Sunday or Monday morning, however you want to look at it. And then by Tuesday morning, I was in surgery at like 5:45.
That's crazy. And do things speed up because you're a professional athlete? Do people want to get things done faster just to help out your career?
Yeah, 100%, man.
Okay.
I don't know if like a normal person could have done that. Because, bro, I got to Utah on Monday morning and I called my physical therapist being like, yo, who the fuck even does Achilles tendons? Like, do you need to find like the Achilles tendon guy? And she's like, no, it's just orthopedic. It's foot and ankle. And like, here's this Dr. Beals. Just get a hold of him. And she put some of her people to get in contact with Beals. And I know my knee surgeon probably said some stuff to Beals. And then all of a sudden, like, Beals called me like at 8 p.m. the night before surgery, just being like, we're going to knock this one out of the park, bro. So I don't know if that happens for other people other than athletes, especially just my history in Park City and whatnot, and my history with Dr. Cooley, who did my knees up. They work right together in the same Rosenberg Cooley Metcalf clinic. So I got lucky.
And I guess you're like a notch on the belt to one of those doctors, because when they fix you successfully, they can tell all future patients like, hey, Tanner Hall comes to me when he has something like this. And that's why you want to come to me, because you want to be the best. he is the best and I fix him. Insurance-wise, for a dude like yourself, how much do you have to pay a month for health insurance?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit different. I pay up in Montana. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Montana is the only, like, it was really hard to find health insurance to actually, like, want to get insured. You know what
For
I mean?
you, yeah. Who would want to cover you?
Exactly. So some of my dad's friends work for Blue Cross Blue Shield up in Montana, and it's just a little bit easier to deal when you got family friends that are working for the insurance agency that actually understand what I do and how much shit can go wrong at sometimes, but they also know how much I'm serious about this and how much time and effort and work I put into this. And after my last injury, not even that, it's like for the last like 4 years, it's just like trying to get sober, trying to get off the drugs and alcohol, trying to just be a better person. It's funny that trying to get insurance, the better you are as a person and the more sound you are and the healthier you are, it's easier to do that. So there was some years where, like, I hate to say it, I went like had a couple of years without even having insurance because it was really hard to find it. And I really just didn't give a shit.
Oh, you got lucky then.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, usually when you're not worried about those things and you're in the zone and you're living in the flow state, it's like making money. If you're like super stressed about making money, it's not going to come.
Right.
Just like if you're super stressed about your body and you're like, well, fuck, dude, I can't get hurt. Like, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah. It's like the same thing if you want to try to get a girl.
Yeah, 100, dude. It's just like you got to not put so much effort into the thing sometimes. It's all subconscious effort is what I'm learning, is like how a lot of stuff works in life is like if you have an understanding of how this world is set up. And insurance is a big thing for us athletes and just anybody. I mean, insurance companies suck, and how much you pay and like what you get out of it and how much stuff can go wrong. It's pretty crazy the older you get and you realize, like, Jesus Christ, dude, my parents took care of this shit for me for so long. Like, I'm sorry. I feel like I added like a bunch of gray hairs to my dad's head just through that shit alone. You know what I mean?
You added gray hairs to your dad's head to his insurance agent because most people, insurance isn't that big of a deal, you know? Like, it actually works out in the insurance company's favor at most times. But you, it's always a losing battle because the risk that you put into your life, that's how you live. And it wouldn't be living if you didn't do that for yourself.
Yeah, but it's also sometimes too where you'll go like 11 years without even needing anything, right? And you're kind of like, yo, what the fuck, bro? It can get like kind of discouraging. It's almost like the IRS. Like, really? I got to give this much fucking money away for what? Like, where's it going? And I got arrested in fucking Whitefish in 2017 for doing that alley-oop rodeo 450 onto that down rail at the city beach.
Yeah.
They actually arrested me. I had to go to court. And then at the end of the day, they charged me $3,200 to replace that rail. And then 2 years later, I'm on City Beach, and I'm like, holy fuck, dude, that's an expensive $3,200 can of spray paint because that's all they did. They didn't replace the rail. They didn't powder coat the rail. The rail's still all fucked up. And then it looks like somebody just spray painted the rail, and there's like green fucking paint dripping onto the cement, made it look way worse than it was. And that costed $3,200. And it's shit like that makes me want to go into the courts with a photo of the rail and being like, where did that fucking money go? Like, literally, where did you guys take that $3,200? Because you didn't replace the rail. That's obvious. Like, you can see that you did not place the rail. Where did that money go? And then it's kind of like you think about with that taxes and shit. You're like, where is this money going? And then all of a sudden with the insurance and shit, you're like, holy fuck, dude. It's like almost, I don't know, for athletes and whatnot, when I hear about all these people hating on socialism and whatnot, I'm kind of like, fuck, dude. Like, Jesus Christ, whenever I see Henrik or any of these people getting hurt or doing anything, it's like different for athletes, you know? And it's just like what you're saying with like a normal person getting insurance, it works out for them and whatnot. So it's like through all these things, through taxes, insurance, and like all these things, it can really just kind of confuse a person. But the older I'm getting, the more I'm seeing how it all works out. And it's just like the more you have an understanding of that, I feel like the better you can get at your craft because you're not always wondering about how all this shit works. And maybe I'm never going to figure out. And I just hope my parents are alive till I'm done skiing so they can keep doing this, which is, it feels good to like be taking on a sense of responsibility. And it feels like once you have an understanding about how the world works, like your skiing and your craft you can focus on it more.
Now it's time for a sponsor break, and my first sponsor is the 10 Barrel Brewery out of Bend, Oregon. They have been brewing the best beer in the Northwest since 2006, and they started as a bunch of friends who live beer, brewing, and drinking it outside. Over the years, they have grown, but they have never forgotten their roots in skiing, snowboarding, and biking. I could list the countless things they have done for the sports and athletes, or even better, list the things they've done for the causes like the Surfrider Foundation and Protect Our Winners, but I don't have enough time. What I do have time to do is ask you to pick up a 6-pack of 10 Barrel next time you're at the store. And if you are more of a booze person, 10 Barrel mixed drinks pack a punch. To find out more about all things 10 Barrel, head on over to 10barrel.com. Next up, it's Glade Optics out of Breckenridge, Colorado. They're the little guys competing in a corporate goggle world, and I will say, after using my MagFlight goggles for a month now, Glade's goggles are every bit as good as what the big guys are making. I don't fog up, my kid thinks I look cooler because my goggles aren't as gigantic, and I've never had an easier lens to change. They're just as good as a $300 pair of goggles from one of the corporate brands, and I'm going to save you money on your purchase. What you need to do is head on over to shopglade.com, pick out your goggles, enter the code TPM10, there are no spaces, and you will get the hookup when you check out. My final sponsor in this break is Stanley, and they pretty much invented the category of containers that keep things hot and cold over 100 years ago. What was revolutionary back then is essential and more important than ever right now. This year, if you are going to do the mountain or any outdoor activity right, you're going to need to have soups, coffee, water, hot chocolate, whatever you possibly can in the car, in your pack, and most likely you don't have all the containers you're going to need to keep them hot or cold. Good thing is, I'm going to save you 30% on all Stanley products. To get the deal, head on over to stanley-pmi.com, go shopping, and enter the code DRINKFAST, that's all one word, all lowercase at checkout, and you will get that deal as well. Those are my sponsors for this round. Now let's jump back into the podcast. Speaking on what you need to focus on now, it's just, I guess, rehab and getting yourself back together. And that's something that you've always been really good at. Like, you are the hardest working guy in skiing. I mean, I think a lot of it has come out lately in the past few years in just some of your videos showing hours on the bike and in the gym. But that's something that you've been doing forever. And in terms of just getting yourself better now, is it like 4 hours a day of just getting yourself into the right mental state and physical state?
Well, right now it's different. I can't do shit until the 20th of January. So like, I'm just waiting to get my stitches out. The day I get my stitches out, that's when we can start like mobbing the scar. And that's when the real PT is going to start. But I'm still doing little stretches. I'm trying to do little workouts. I've been fucking watching so much skiing lately, dude. Have you seen the new little kid from fucking Czechoslovakia named Matej Unicorn? That's his Instagram name, Matej, MATEJ_unicorn.
I got to check him out.
Pal, if you haven't seen this kid, go look up my latest post on Instagram and just see who like the new, fuck, it almost looked like you can tell he's been watching Henrik his whole life because Jesus Christ, this kid is like, he's really young, and pal, he is definitely the future of what we're doing, and the future is looking damn bright, bro.
Okay, I'll check that out after we get off.
Yeah, and I mean, like, dude, it's so crazy right now because I got a lot of time off, but like you just said, like, I really love the hard work. I know the whole physical therapy aspect of things. My physical therapist, Jess Tidswell here in Utah, is one of the best to ever do it. So it's like, she really knows my body. I really know her technique. I'm just trying to keep my brain spinning and not have that like, all right, well, you're getting a little bit older and maybe it's time to relax. Cause like, I just want to get this thing better so I can get back on that Freeride World tour. And hopefully by next winter, it's going to be like, we can go to Japan. We can go to Canada. We can go here. We can go there. Cause right now it's just like, dude, fucking wear your mask. Don't ask questions and be a good boy.
Yeah, no, it totally is that. And when you bring up the Freeride World Tour, the last time we talked, it was 2 years ago, and you were about to enter the Freeride World Tour. But the one thing that really happened from the last time we podcasted, and what we're going to talk about most of this podcast after what we've gotten through, is your movie project Forever, because that dropped not too long ago. And I'll say that I rented it. I didn't buy it. I should have bought it. But I need to watch it about 10 more times before I could really talk about tricks. So I can't really talk about your tricks. I think there's a triple at the end of the intro, which is really, really clean, and it blows my mind to see that from you at your age at this point. But there's urban tricks, cliff lines, and all that. When you look at your skiing in the movie, are you skiing better than you have, like, in your life?
Fuck it, dude, I don't know. You'll have years where it just feels way better than others, you know what I mean? Believe was one of those years. I think the year that I filmed with Poor Boys to Make 20,
yeah,
those were one of those years, you know. I feel like Hereafter was one of those years. In the Meantime was one of those years. So, I mean, yeah, man, maybe. But right now, what the cool thing is, it's like I don't feel like I've done what I'm like supposed to do yet, which is a good feeling, you know, because it's like the search is still there, and it's like I'm still trying to make this masterpiece, like I said at the end of the film, you know.
Yeah. With the film, so it's 2 years ago. Your brother's house. You bring Constantine. I'll murder his last name, so I'll call him Papa Giorgio, but we'll call him CP throughout the podcast. But Mr. Papa Giorgio goes to your brother's house, and you guys have a meeting. And you've made a bunch of movies with CP in the past: Show and Prove, Believe, The Massive. And you guys haven't worked together in a while. When did you start thinking to yourself, like, shit, I need to work with CP again?
I've always been thinking that. I mean, CP is one of the best filmmakers I've ever worked with. And he's like really, really passionate about skiing. He really, really loves the art, the culture, everything about skiing. And to me, like, so do I. So it's just really nice when me and him can link up and, you know, really just submerge ourselves into what we're trying to do. So I'd been wanting to work with CP for a long time. But I think there came a point after the Massive where it was like CP just kind of saw in me that I wasn't like on the professional tip that he was heading towards. And I think he was ready to take his game to the next level where I was like, dude, I'm just ready to party, fucking smoke some weed and to go skiing. You know what I mean? Where I think he was just looking for a little bit more depth out of a human being and out of a project. And I mean, at some point, dude, you're fucking making ski movies. You're not really making a lot of money. And then all of a sudden, fucking Red Bull's like, here, you want to work for us? And like, you kind of make money then. And, you know, you're not really around a lot of skiing, but you're making money.
And you're making movies, which is a passion of his too. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think he took some opportunities that were really good for him. And I mean, there was years where we didn't work with each other and there was a lot of shit that had happened, but it's just funny how life works. Everything comes back full circle. And I think CP had realized from Triumph to Hereafter to In the Meantime, after In the Meantime, I think he was like, holy shit, dude, that's 3 years in a row of like not drinking, not being an idiot, like actually like focusing in on like a goal and achieving that goal. He's like, wow, dude, I think we could probably do this again.
So do you look at it as you have to pitch him on this to get him involved? Because, I mean, the storyline of the movie makes it seem like that. Or is it you guys are just ready to both work together again?
No, I had to beat him down a little bit, you know? Because at the end of the day, it's like I say in the movie, dude, doing a project is not small. It's like there's a lot of work that goes into it. And I just think he probably realized that I was at a point in my life where I had realized that. And I was ready to do whatever it takes to go through this and get it done.
And so you guys start talking about it and you're going to get this thing done. But there's a few things, there's details that come into like a project like this. Because for CP, it's going to be a whole year for him. And is it something where he wants to be paid or he wants to have ownership of the movie? Or how does that work? Because there's a lot of costs that goes into this movie. And given you're going to get some from sponsors and things like that. But I mean, is there like a fixed salary for him so he can just move forward and know that he's going to be paid throughout this project?
Here's the deal about CP, and here's the craziest shit, dude. CP basically funded that whole movie.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's how serious he was about telling the story. And like, if you noticed in skiing, dude, there wasn't a lot of like, there might be stories, but the stories are always set to really just show like what the goal is of what your winner will be or this or that. Like, there's never really in depth. I know a lot of fucked up shit that's happened to a lot of riders, and nobody's ever going to fucking mention shit like that. And to me, you got to tell the realness, you know what I mean? You got to tell the real story. And I think CP just realized, like, my life is raw as fuck. And it's kind of nice. It's a breath of fresh air to see, like, where things are going and to see how much budgets and, like, high-cost things are really putting out these, like, 3-minute edits that are pumped full of so much money. But, like, there's amazing camera work. There's amazing everything. But where's the fucking story? It's like the filmers now are getting more praise because they're shooting on some fucked up camera that can shoot fucking whatever frame rate. And this and that, and the lighting, and this and that. And then all of a sudden, all you hear people talking about is the goddamn shot. And I'm sitting there like, well, it was still a sick, like, triple cork, or it was still, like, the sickest fucking thing. It's like, it was bugging me out to see, like, how it was going to that point where CP was like, yo, gee, like, we got to bring the essence back to, like, you guys as the writers. You know what I mean? And taking in-depth looks at what we all go through is just a little something different. It kind of gives people a better perspective of watching something and getting a feeling instead of just a feeling of being like, holy shit, that looked really expensive and that guy's really good.
And you guys were able to establish that years before. So you guys have that kind of connection.
100 But CP is a dude that really realizes maybe as time goes on that the message is being lost in movies. And I'm not saying that there's bad movies being made. I'm just saying like the whole essence about the person that you're watching writing down, nobody's learning too much stuff about these people. And if it is, it's so watered down to make them look like somebody they're fucking not so they can sell a snowboard or a pair of skis or a goggle or a jacket. And it's just like, I get it. Dude. And I get where these companies are coming from. I get where like the industry's at. But at the end of the day, like, dude, Mike Bassett just put up a post of like 1992 of like VHS tape in Salt Lake City. It was him and his buddy. And they were just, dude, it just like, if you watched that and like what they were selling in a parking lot to raise some cash to make a movie and like the language they were using, and it wasn't even foul language. It was just like, it wasn't as proper. You know what I mean?
They were selling a feeling back then, I feel like.
Yeah, dude, it's exactly. You're building a feeling, and it's not just a feeling of like, wow, dude, these people are the best because they got the most money and the best cameras. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you guys have this connection, but it's been broken a little bit over time, and CP even asks you in the movie. He's wondering what happened to you or what happened between you two, and you tell him, you're like, hey, man, there's no use for crying over spilled milk, bro. And I feel like when you said that, that can be like a metaphor for like your entire career almost, because it's like, you've burned some bridges here and there, and you've never worried about it. You just move forward. It's like, oh, we had a problem there. Fuck it. I'm going to move forward and not even think about it anymore. And is that how things work with you? Is like, if you burn a bridge a little bit, there is no burning it a little bit. It's like either burnt to the ground or you're like 100 with someone?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, at this point, for sure. Because at this point, I feel like I have no reason in my life to call up Oakley or Red Bull. I have no reason in my life to do some things and try to rekindle relationships that maybe I had a hand in burning the bridge. But, dude, I mean, even on that whole Red Bull kick, I mean, fuck, dude, the day before I got dropped by Red Bull, my team manager called me and that's insane because that type of language this day and age, nobody uses.
No, I'm going to beep that, and nobody uses it to the point where I'm going to beep it. People can guess what he said. But, yeah, you just don't say that to anyone ever.
You don't say that to anybody. In 24 hours, I was called that. I was dropped without question, and I'm sitting in New Zealand. I mean, like, you can say I was burning bridges, but if people really knew the real deal and I laid out the story of all this shit, I don't know. And maybe when I was younger, for sure, there was some bridges burnt. But when I get a little bit older, there's been some really crazy thing that has been tough for me to like keep my mouth shut and not tell the story, because like I feel like if I did tell the story about what really happened with Oakley and Red Bull, maybe it would give some kids some insight and be like a little bit more careful about going into supporting a company that just sells drugs to people worldwide that sponsor kids at 13 years old.
I mean, you've got to look at both of these companies were looking at you to ride your coattails to sell their product. And when they didn't agree with something that you were doing, it was very easy for them to forget about you.
Oh, very disposable. And Red Bull's one thing. The whole Oakley thing just came out of nowhere. And it's just like, I'm still tripping on that fact because I haven't even really fucking talked to anybody from Oakley yet. I mean, go figure, right?
Yeah.
20 fucking years with the company and you still haven't got a reason why?
Yeah. They did go to like Luxottica and got huge in corporate and a lot of the levels were cut out. But you're saying you still haven't talked to Strokes since then?
Not really.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, man, for sure. And it's just weird to know that you can hang out with certain people in this industry for more days than you've even hung out. Like I've hung out with some people more than I've hung out with Tyson Hall.
Yeah.
And that's just the deal. I have had more FaceTime with certain people in our industry than my own brother and my mother and father. And it's just like to know how easy shit can just, when it's done, it's done. There's no questions. It's a business. You're replaceable. And that's just the deal. You know what I mean? It's just crazy in my mind where you can look at it like, fuck, dude, in other sports, you know, the older generation can maybe just get a little bit more help if they want to stay in it and they want to keep progressing and they want to keep having a part of an industry. I mean, in skiing, I just see it so much where it's like when you're at an age and you're at something where they don't think that you're doing what you used to do, it's not a question. It's just like, yo, on to the next.
Yeah, there isn't that olive branch where, like, you see Russell Winfield sign this year with Ride, where Russell hasn't been riding at his 96 to 98 level in a long time, but he's always going to be a legend, and they're still going to take care of him.
Exactly. Jamie Lynn, another fucking awesome case where it's like, dude, to see Jamie Lynn coming back into snowboarding with some help and whatnot. And it's like, I don't know how much help it is, but it just seems like if Jamie Lynn wants to do anything in snowboarding, like snowboarding's like, yes, please, dude, let's do it because we got a lot of respect for you. And thank you for carving out a way for a lot of these riders.
Yeah. There's only a few people that should have that kind of respect. There's a small group of people that should be in that realm. You're one of those dudes, but skiing doesn't take care of people like other sports, like we said. But I'm going to get back to your movie. And the strange thing to me when I was watching it, but now that you say CP paid for it, now I kind of understand a little more. But it was a look at your relationship with CP from his perspective. And with an hour-long movie on Tanner Hall, I didn't really care about his perspective as much because I just wanted to see all about Tanner. And did you want that story told, or did it just happen because that's what CP wanted told?
Well, we kind of sat down and we kind of mapped it out a little bit where it was like, yeah, we wanted to have kind of a rekindled relationship and seeing through both of our eyes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I mean, we could have maybe did it a little bit different, but both of us are really stoked on how it came out. And it was actually over a course of 2 years because we could have put out that first year, but we wanted to see what the second year on tour was going to be like. And it's just a big learning lesson, man. That tour is like no joke. Yeah, it was just something different. So it was kind of nice to have a dude like there, like CP. Dude, that guy like sits down and reads screenplays from Shakespeare, and he's fucking like so into movie making where he does stuff that I know not a lot of other people do in the snow world of making movies.
Like how you nerd out about skiing and your health and everything that can make you a better athlete. He does that with filmmaking.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So that kind of right there alone, like we have a connection there right there that's like unspoken, you know what I mean? And it's just easy. Me and him can sit down. We can talk about skiing for hours. We can talk about health for hours. We can talk about how we're going to get better at making movies and skiing for hours. And it's like when you have that type of relationship, it's kind of nice, dude. And I mean, CP and I have such a deep relationship with, dude, when we were making Believe and Show and Prove, the whole CR situation, like we walked through that together. So there's like a brotherhood there that's, you know, it's just family shit.
Now it's time for my final sponsor break, and Peter Glenn Ski and Sports has a contest this week. They're giving away a pair of new snowboard boots to 2 lucky winners. 2 winners will have the choice of either a men's K2 Masis snowboard boot or a women's Ride Hera snowboard boot. The winners will be drawn on Friday, January 29th, and to enter, just follow these steps. First, follow Peter Glenn Sports, K2 Snowboarding, and Ride Snowboards on Instagram. Second, like the post announcing the giveaway. Third, tag 2 friends on the post announcing the giveaway. It's that easy to enter. And if you don't want to enter, but you just want to support a sponsor of mine, head on over to Peter Glenn Ski and Sports at peterglenn.com and do a little bit of shopping. My final sponsor is Elan Skis, and I have to say, I have been absolutely loving my Ripstick 106s. They are much lighter and livelier than what I'm used to skiing, and I find myself feeling more confident on my skis. Like my skiing is actually improving, and that's something I haven't seen in like a decade. That's just not me, so it has to be the skis. So I'm going to ask you, if you're in the market for a new pair of skis, either trust me and go buy a pair of Elans, the Ripstick 106 is what I'm on, or go to a place that you can demo a pair of skis, try a pair of Elans, and I guarantee that you will not be disappointed. You can find out about the whole Elan line over at elanskis.com. Those are my sponsors. Now let's jump back into the podcast. The movie itself is really well done. It's a look at your life and times, and it weaves the story of the Freeride World Tour throughout that. It hits a little bit about everything of your life over the years, and when you do that with like interviews, podcasts, movies, everything that you do, you're talking about the same shit a lot. You got to talk about your ankles, your knees, the X Games. Does that ever get old to you, just telling the same things over and over?
A little bit, for sure. It can get repetitive, but I mean, obviously, like we're going into a time now where it's just like, I feel like through all the virus and everything, like it's time to just get creative and create. So right now it's like, yeah, I realize that I'm probably going to have to talk about it even going forward in the future, but there can be different ways to talk about this shit and put a different spin on it and maybe get perspectives that people didn't know about, because I talk about the same shit through the injury, like whether it's like the pain or how long it took or this or that. And like, there's so much more to these injuries and like how I had to deal with them in like the mental space and everything. So it's just like, now I got to get creative with myself to actually dig down deep and really put myself back into those situations and really try to remember like what I was actually feeling. Because I mean, shit, dude, through the knees, it got real dark. It got real dark. And I mean, I only gone into a little bit of the darkness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I would think when your parents are wiping your ass and stuff like that, it's like you're at a low, and then you've got pills and everything else mixed in. So it creates the ability to get deeper when you're more comfortable to tell that whole story. But what is new in your story, what evolves into the movie, is the Freeride World Tour. And while you're used to skiing in contests so much over time, that stopped for a while. And there's got to be a huge energy that comes from like Tanner Hall dropping in 3, 2, 1. When you get to the event, what's that vibe, your first Freeride World Tour event?
Oh, man. That one in Japan was wicked, bro. Granted, my knee wasn't feeling all that great from trying to get some urban clips.
Yeah, you hurt yourself leading up to it, right before, right?
No, dude, I know. It's little shit like that where I got to get smarter about it, but I love the skiing shit so much that I don't know. I don't know what I was in Colorado doing urban right before the tour, but I mean, that's where the snow was. That's where my brain was. Pat had the wench. I mean, it's kind of like snow only comes a certain amount of time for the year, especially like snow in cities.
Yep.
And then pow in the mountains. I mean, it would be great if we were in a skateboarder's scenario where, you know, you can pretty much wake up and go indoors when it's bad weather out and just stack clips. But for me and my brain, I only have a certain amount of time to get these clips stacked. And it's just like, I don't want to waste time, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's where it was. So when I got to the first Freeride World Tour event, I was a little bit bummed on myself that I couldn't have the mind control to like just kind of chill and prepare a little bit better for that. But in my mind, I was like, yo, if I can 360 hand drag this fucking the swing set rainbow rail, then I'm going to kill it on tour.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's so much hype for you around the Freeride World Tour. I'm sure they're super excited that they're getting an athlete like yourself who's going to be a huge draw. They're going to market the shit out of that. And for you, is that like putting a big target on your back, like putting Tanner Hall's reputation, like everybody come watch this huge event because now we have Tanner Hall?
Yes, 100%, dude. That's a crazy stress factor.
Yeah.
That was really stressful to me, dude. I mean, at one point, I'm even sitting in Japan being like, fuck, dude, I feel like I suck at skiing. And I've never even heard of these fucking dudes. And they're all shredding their face off.
Right.
It can be hard in your brain, dude. And sometimes you're asking yourself, like, am I making the right decision for my career right now?
Yeah. And that shit happens on the fun ski before the event, right? Like when you're shredding with all those dudes is when you realize how good everyone is that you haven't heard of.
Yeah, dude, for sure. And then you start researching some of these dudes and you see some of the clips they've stacked. They might not be doing 4-Prets 2s on the city rails, but Jesus Christ, dude, some of these dudes ski so goddamn fast through terrain that's like really shouldn't be skied that fast through. Like that dude, Christopher Turdell, dude, like he's a fucking savage, dude. And so is that dude, Raina Burkhart. And so is like a lot of people on that tour. It's insane. And then the Alta kids like Andrew Pollard and Isaac Freeland and dude, I've been in skiing for a long time, and there was a lot of people that when I stepped on the tour, I did not know who they were, and I was taken back, dude, because it was dope. I'm like, holy fuck, this is like a whole new part of our industry that I had no idea about, and it is alive and well.
All those dudes, are they all welcoming and super stoked to have Tanner Hall in the mix?
Yeah, man, for sure. Everybody, the vibe on the Freeride tour, I don't know, it's just something different, right?
I mean, there's no glamour to this tour. You're not taking a heli up to the top and sitting in hospitality waiting
No,
for your
dude,
run.
it's passion over profits, dog. That's like what the Freeride tour is about. You got to have the passion to even want to go on there, spend that much money to go worldwide to only have one run.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's really bugged out, dude. You got all these ideas like, oh, I can't wait to try this off that, and I'm going to fucking kill it. And then all of a sudden you get in the start gate and you're like, holy fuck, dude, I can't crash.
But that's what you do. Contests are what you do, and given, well, it's a heavy thing when you only have one run. When you get to Japan and you drop in for your first time, you throw a few threes, you end up on the podium, and I'm sure there's not that many shit your pants moments these days, especially in contests because you don't really compete that much. But your first event in forever and you end up on the podium, does it bring back that mind-blowing feeling of like, whoa, this is what it feels like to be on top?
Yo, bro, it felt so good, man. And it was so dope because it was just me, CP, the kid again, and this little kid, Mad Dog from Tahoe. And it was like a really surreal feeling because, like, dude, the days up to that event, like, I was in tears 2 days before that looking at kids like, dog, I think I'm going to have to pull out, bro. I can't turn sideways on my uphill edge on my left leg. Like, I can't do it.
Huh.
And I'm just sitting there tripping. And then they're like, well, I told the Freeride World Tour, and they're like, well, why don't you go see Benny? He's like the physical therapist we got for the whole tour. So I booked some time with him, and then he's like, I've lived here in Niseko, and my physical therapy place is just right down the road. Let's go down there and get a little knee sleeve after I fucking loosen up your IT band and your hamstring. And he loosens up the IT band and the hamstring. I put the knee brace on the next day, it's the day before the contest. And like the good thing was with that knee sleeve on, I could go sideways. And right when I went sideways the first time and the knife wasn't digging into my joint, I was like, okay, we're good. And it's crazy, dude, because the younger kids don't have that. You know what I mean? And that's a hard thing to like let people know about. Like you can say you're in pain. You can be like, damn, my knee fucking hurts. But when you tell people, damn, my knee fucking hurts, and then all of a sudden somebody changes the subject, they forgot what you just said about your knee.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, nobody takes into account, like, holy fuck, like this dude is at an age of what he is. His knee feels like what it does, like, and he's competing tomorrow for the first time ever in a fucking thing he's never competed in. Most people won't realize, like, they think you can be like Superman or something all the time, but Jesus Christ, dude, that was like a big stress in my brain, you know, and it was very rewarding to know that I was mentally strong enough still to like not only push through pain, but to be smart enough to figure out how to deal with it and move past the pain so I could perform.
The pain part is one thing, but just the pressure of like everybody, myself included, I think I said it when we podcasted last time, but everybody almost expected you to be on a podium, which is ridiculous because you haven't competed in this thing ever and you don't really know what to expect at all. So for people to think that you can actually podium in your first event is pretty crazy. And then knowing that you're hurt, that makes it even harder, but you're able to do that. So event one goes perfect. Then you go to Canada, and the line there, I mean, it's sick to the dude that wants to see you air, but judges are used to seeing Euros pick lines, and really they don't reward just a regular line, so that kind of hurts you over there. But I think you eventually kind of figure out a little bit more of the judging, and on these trips, you've got CPs documenting it all. So do you have a camera crew following you everywhere, and does that get old as well?
No, because the first year it was the kid that was with me, Zach Lefter. He was the Gremlins filmer from Tahoe. So it was like usually just me and the kid for that first year. CP would show up at a couple of the events. And then the second year, CP was like showing up at a lot of the events. So it was like really I would have the kid or CP or both of them. So it was like not a big camera crew. And like we were being able to move incognito too. Like if me and the kid and CP were walking down the road, like the kid and CP look so different from each other that the last thing people are going to think that that's my film crew. So it was kind of easy to move incognito, where some of these other people, some of the Swedish Peak Performance people, like they're rolling with the crew. And it's very visible because maybe Peak Performance is putting a whole lot more money than Armada or Rock to this Freeride Tour thing. And so for me, it was like a little bit easier to stay that incognito because like I feel like if I had a huge camera crew around me all the time, that just adds even more pressure, you know?
For sure. And it just like puts a big spotlight on you everywhere you go, which has got to be annoying because you had that growing up.
Exactly. And I mean, at that point, the spotlight was on me year one.
Yeah,
for sure. And it's just like I could feel it. I could feel it walking into rooms. I could feel it stepping into the start gate. I could feel it you know?
Yeah.
But it's dope because like at the end of the day, I love pressure. I do. I really love pressure. I really love competing. I think the older you get, it's a lot harder to stay in a state of mind where you can block out all that stuff and then just when it's time to drop in, just do your best. You know, I think like as you get older, I'm really trying to get into more meditation and really mind control to control my own mind. Like no MK Ultra shit where I'm trying to control other people's brains, but it's like, how can I control my brain and make it calm when it needs to? Make it really fucking like it's go time, like get the hype up when it needs to.
Yeah.
And then it's like when it's time to be smart and make the right decision. And I think that's the hardest thing to learn as a skier, even the older you get, man, because it doesn't matter. Like I made that decision not to have a wife and kids at this point in my life. And I made that decision consciously because I feel like I still have something to prove on my skis and not to people, but to myself. So the older you get, if you can't control your brain and you can't like learn how to calm it down when it needs to, learn how to pump it up when it needs to, and learn the most important lesson we can all learn as human beings and athletes is to make the right decision when you need to.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to really do. And I think with this injury, what I'm going through, like that's the big goal this summer. And I think getting the GED, that's just controlling the mind of doing something that's going to be annoying, but you're going to get the sense of accomplishment and you're going to be like, okay, this is how I felt a couple months into it. This is how I felt right before I took the test. And this is the gratification feeling that I felt afterwards. And the most important aspect to all of that shit is like, yeah, we said like, it's not going to do much for my life whatsoever. It's going to make my parents stoked. But what it's really going to do is like, it's a brain activity. It's a brain lesson. It's just working on my brain at this point. Because we can do whatever we want as human beings in this world. The older you get, you really just have to put a lot of thought into it because you're not a little kid with mush brain just being like, this is dope.
Speaking of a kid with mush brain and dope, I have to go into something that I call my Weed Maps question of the podcast.
Yes.
I know weed has been something that's very important to you. It has been to me as well. And like you, I've always smoked spliffs, 2 paper joints at least 3 times a day. Crazy to some people, but what's the daily intake of spliffs for you, maybe over the average of your career? I mean, is 10 spliffs a day something that's normal for you as a skier? I know it's changed a little bit, but...
Yeah, man, for sure. Very normal.
So are you smoking like a quarter a day?
Sometimes more.
Okay. So in terms of weed, being Tanner Hall, you're traveling all over these places. You know people all over the world who are going to give you weed. And is it something where you have to buy all this weed, or everybody's going to give you a deal? Or how does it work being like a famous pothead per se?
Yeah, I mean, at first, man, it was, same thing. You're just trying to find weed wherever you go. And yeah, you were paying for some weed. But now it's like, if I'm going somewhere and people know that I'm going to go there, it's been lately where, the culture of marijuana is so dope that it's like, I get hit up and Instagram's fucking crazy because anybody can hit you up. Anybody. And when I go to resorts that are outside the U.S. and people know I'm coming, my message request inbox is fucked up, just filled with dudes like, yo, here's my number, hit me up, I got that fire.
No way.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
That's pretty rad, man.
Dude, it was insane. Dude, listen to this. When we showed up at Fever Brewing this past winter, we had no cron, and it was like, we got the Fever Brewing off the bus at like 11:30 or midnight. And like, we're just sitting there waiting for these people to come from the tour to pick us up. And I had hit up these dudes. This one dude hit me up on my message direct inbox. I can't even remember his name because this was the most fucked up shit that I've ever had happen. But I got a message request right before we got on the bus. And obviously, like, I had internet where we were at, like, the bus station. And then we get on the bus. There's no internet. This kid, he wrote me 2 days before. I accept the request. I hit him up. I was like, yo, bro, I would really appreciate if you could meet us at the bus station in Fever Brewing. This is what time we're getting in. This is the bus station that they're dropping us off at. I mean, I don't know where you're at or how far you are away from Fever Brewing. It doesn't tell me where you're from. It just says you're from Austria. But here's the deal. You come, you drop off some cron, we'll make it right for you. All of a sudden, we're fucking sitting there, and I'm like, damn, it'd be so dope if these Austrian kids that hit me up were just right there off the bus station when we got there. But it was like, I don't know these kids. I never even contacted them. They wrote me a message 2 days before I even answered them. I wrote 3 sentences to them and then fucking had internet for 10 minutes, get on the bus. We get off the bus. We're waiting. 10 minutes goes by. All of a sudden, we see 2 kids walking with baggy-ass clothes, like just come out of the shadows because it's dark. And then all of a sudden, there's a street light. And all of a sudden, I see 2 kids walking up. And I start tripping. I'm like, yo, are you my guys? yo, are you my guys? And then I just see both their arms go up like ski bus. And I was like, you're my fucking guys, boy. And they came off and dropped off a huge care package and didn't even expect no cash. It was fucked up, man.
That is amazing.
It really is. And it was even like that in Japan as well, where, like, I'm not saying names because I know how gnarly that country is with the crown and whatnot. But even in a country where it is really hard to find, like, bro, it's an amazing culture to know, like, that, most people can have a connection on, like, skiing. Like, I can have connections with people to write me and be like, yo, your skiing is dope. Thanks for the inspiration. But I'm also a part of a culture where I can get hit up by these people being like, yo, no way. My life goal is just to blaze a split with the ski boss. And if you're coming here, like, here's my number, let me know. So it's like kind of dope to know that not only one industry, but kind of 2 industries, you're kind of gaining a respect there where it's like, it makes it really easy. Cause with these contests and whatnot, for me, it's like, it's a calming sense, you know what I mean? Especially, dude, I'm a little bit older, so I kind of need something for them nerves.
Yeah, I mean, you're ADD too, I feel like. I mean, I don't know if you're diagnosed, but I feel like you're always going in so many different directions and have so many things going on that it's a way to help calm you down and naturally medicate for yourself. So that was the Weed Maps question of the podcast. There's a little ad I'm going to play from them right after that.
Weed Maps is exactly what it sounds like. It's simply the place to go online when it comes to finding what you need so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. The cannabis market can be a bit of a treasure hunt, but Weed Maps will get you straight to the source with no worries. Whether you're seeking out the best locations, deals, doctors, or strains, we offer online ordering and delivery where legal. No need to waste your precious time searching elsewhere. Go to weedmaps.com or download the free app today. It's your ultimate guide to cannabis. Weed Maps.
I'm not totally done with weed. Well, maybe I am totally done with weed. We don't need to talk about weed as much anymore.
Yeah, no, because like we just said the dopest shit that could have been said about weed. We just know that weed helps a lot, and like maybe it's for some people and maybe it's not for others, you know?
Yeah, and another thing that you used to put with your weed that I hear you've quit, which I have actually also quit, is nicotine. Like, you're not smoking spliffs anymore. You're totally tobacco free. How has that changed you?
Fuck, I don't know. It's crazy because like you think you'd stop smoking tobacco and like a lot of the edginess is going to go away and whatnot. But it's a struggle, dude. I really realized once I got off nicotine, like how gnarly this shit is.
I mean, for me, I haven't had any in 4 or 5 months and I don't even think about it anymore, but you still do?
Oh, yeah. Well, dude, I'm going to tell you what. I went 17 weeks with no tobacco last summer, and then I got back on the train a little bit, which totally sucked because, like...
It takes one spliff, right?
Yeah, it takes one spliff. I was out in Baker, and I was just like, God damn it, dude, fuck. But then, listen, it was like only probably a month or two, maybe 6 weeks on the tobacco, and then the day I crashed, it was like right at that moment that I crashed, haven't had any tobacco since, and, like, now I really realize, dude, that I'm never going to have any again. And I really realized that I'm going to have these fucking moments where it's like, dude, tobacco is the gnarliest, most addictive substance in the world. So, like, there's times when I really, like yesterday, I'm walking through Urban Outfitters to look for a couple T-shirts and a pair of pants.
I just don't see Tanner Hall shopping at Urban Outfitters, but I guess he's just like us. He does regular things.
Yeah, fuck, dude. I don't know. I found a pair of pants that are so dope online, and they said they were at Urban Outfitters. So I was like, fuck, I never even heard of this place. Let's go see if they have them. And sure enough, first fucking thing I saw right when I walked in. But as I'm walking into the store, for some fucked up reason, it was the first time it hit me since like I'd smoked a spliff. But I was like, damn, dude, I don't know what it is, but I want to smoke a spliff right now. And it's so weird because I'm walking into some shit that I've never done. And I'm just like, the last thing I should be thinking is like nicotine. But that really goes to show like, damn, dude, this shit is gnarly. I hope nobody really gets on it. Because there comes a point when you're smoking spliffs and you're smoking a lot of them that you don't even really realize what you're stoked on too much. Like, you know what you're stoked on. But the only thing you're really stoked on is when you put out a spliff is when are we going to have the next one?
For sure. And it's like you don't even think you're getting high at all. It's just kind of like you're smoking another cigarette pretty much.
Exactly, dude. So like that's the nice thing I feel like where like that whole psychoticness of just being like, damn, dude, like I can focus on other things instead of like when the next spliff is. And that's really big. That's really big. And I hope I can control my mind as time goes on because I know I'm going to have cravings and whatnot. But I really hope my brain's ready to tell the body and everything, and I hope it can connect with each other that, yeah, you might want the tobacco, but the tobacco is not going to bring you anything but anxiety, which is crazy that it does that. But like tobacco brings me anxiety. When I don't have tobacco in the spliffs, Mike, I've been getting so fucking high at night, dude. It's insane. Like I am like having out of body, like I'm high on weed, dude. And then I'm like thinking about like, fuck, dude, I was addicted to cigarettes for 20 years.
Totally. I mean, I feel the same way. And so do you just smoke at night now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I smoke one joint right now just for the healing process right before bed, and it is gnarly. Like last night, I was just sitting there just shaking my head like I'm fucking schooled right now. Like almost telling myself like, dude, you got this. It's just weed. Just relax.
You can't hang out in front of other people when it's happening?
No, not right now. You know what I mean?
You got to figure it out again.
But it's kind of dope, dude. It's like you'll be having some weird shit in your brain, but then all of a sudden you're like, well, this is what I'm looking for. This is like what it felt like when I was really young, and this is like the highest you can really get. So fuck yeah, I'm stoked.
Well, what I'm stoked on now is we are going to end the podcast with something called Inappropriate Questions, and I have a bigger pothead than you, a bigger pothead than me, and I know that's a bold statement to say that to either of us, but our guest this week who's going to be asking you 3 questions arguably is bigger than both of us and almost everybody we've ever known. Not Eric Iberg, though, because he's one of the guys who takes the cake, but I'm talking about Rory Silva, who's an OG skier.
Oh, fuck yeah.
An amazing dude, and I'm going to let Rory ask his first inappropriate question for you.
What's the biggest contest you've ever won on a drug that maybe wasn't marijuana?
Oh, shit. Oh, shit, huh? We're going to go into it like that.
You don't have to answer the question. It's only if you want to.
Well...
Because you're pretty much admitting that you've been in a contest on something else by just how you've reacted so far.
Yeah, there maybe been one X Games pipe event.
Did you medal?
Yeah, I medaled. I ate some mushrooms earlier on that day. And I was just thinking, like, I just wanted to see, because like at that point I was eating like kind of a lot of mushrooms, like I could deal with it, right?
Yeah, you've mastered it.
Exactly. It wasn't like, oh my God, like looking at my hand and my hand started morphing into like.
You pop a cap and a stem and you're good.
Exactly. You know what I mean? I knew how to dose myself to the right amount to be like, okay, I'm going to get to a point where I'm not going to be tripping my face off, but I'm going to definitely like just make the focus a little easier to zone in on. Because if you ever ate mushrooms and shit, sometimes it can go really bad, but sometimes you're going to be like, dude, I see it all. I see how this all works. I see the answer.
Yeah, I feel like more often than not you feel that way.
For sure.
Okay, that's your first inappropriate question. We're going to jump into question number 2.
The first time you went to Jamaica, what was the most eye-opening experience or scariest experience that you saw when you were there?
Oh, he knows. So we were in Montego Bay one time. We went from Kingston to Montego Bay because Cali P was flying in from somewhere. And he was flying into Montego Bay. And I think he was coming in from Zurich. But his flight was going into Montego Bay, not into Kingston. So we went to Montego Bay. We're sitting there. His flight was delayed. I'm sitting there with the 2 people that were living at our house at that time, Richie and the Governor. The Governor was one of our artists that put out some tracks on Like a Lion.
Okay.
But we're sitting there and the flight gets delayed. And I'm like, fuck, dude. And Montego Bay's airport, it's just pandemonium. There's people fucking everywhere. There's like cops everywhere and shit. It's just like a lot going on. But the 2 dudes, Richie and Governor, were like, yo, let's go to the car and smoke a spliff. Iberg was there and fucking Phantom, our producer, and then Iberg, like the main fucking dude behind Inspired, was like, they both looked at me and they're like, you're fucking crazy, dude. And like, you make your own decisions, but like, we're at an international airport. We're not going to go smoke a joint.
Right.
Richie and Governor are looking at me like, dude, come on, Bregin. Like, I'm from Jamaica, man. Like, you're all good. Like, we're fine. Let's just go to the car. We'll roll one quick. We have one smoking. I was like, fuck it. Yeah, let's go. So we go back to the car. We're rolling a spliff. I'm sitting there at the car. They roll the spliff. And how Jamaicans do it, they'll like roll a spliff and start smoking a whole bunch of it before they pass it. So I'm just sitting there for probably 10 minutes. And then right when Governor passes me the joint, I put it in my mouth. And right when I put it in my mouth and I start to inhale, these dudes, Richie and Governor, like look over my shoulder and they're like, fuck. They say the word fuck really fast, stand up and start fucking basically running.
Oh, shit.
And all I hear is, Bridget, turn around. And I turn around and it's the cops. And I'm like, I have a full mouth of smoke. And I'm like, blow it all out like, fuck.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, come here. And he grabs the joint and he was like, fucking threw it on the ground. Then he turned me around, put me in handcuffs. And he was like, yo, you're under arrest for illegal substance at an international airport. You're going to jail.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh no. And we're like out at the car in the parking lot. So he's walking me all the way to the airport. And I'm sitting there being like, yo, sir, like, I'm really sorry. Like, can we just stop? Can we talk? Can we do this? Dude was taking my hands and just like punching me in my lower back. Every time I'd say something, he'd go, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. And now, all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I'm locked up abroad. This is not good. This is like, I'm going to jail in some gnarly, like, I'm going to be surrounded by gangsters. I'm going to fucking die. Like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
This is not okay. So I get in the fucking place. The dude, like, takes my ID, takes my passport, takes everything. He's like, all right, I'm going to go run all your information, and I'm going to take you to jail. Dude just kept saying, like, you're going to jail. You're going to jail. Shut the fuck up. You're going to jail. And I'm like, oh, no, this can't be happening. All of a sudden, I'm sitting there in the cop station, all nervous, tripping. All of a sudden, the door of the fucking police station at Montego Airport gets kicked open, and it's our producer, Phantom, and he comes running in there and just fucking points at the police officers standing behind the desk, and in the loudest tone, he's screaming to the top of his lungs, who's the man that arrested the white man right here? Who's the bumbleclot officer that arrested this blood clot white man? And all of a sudden, I look back and I'm like, yo, Phantom, get out of here. Please get out of here. Please get out of here. All of a sudden, one of the cops comes up to Phantom and he was like, yo, this is the name of the cop that arrested your boy, but you need to get the fuck out of here. So Phantom somehow gets whispered into his ear from one of the cops who the name of the cop was. Phantom goes out and calls the biggest like gangster in Montego Bay. And I don't even know who it was. All I knew it was like a Don of Jamaica. And all of a sudden, dude, that was like a 2-minute phone call. All of a sudden, 5 minutes later, the cop that arrested me walked down with my passport, my driver's license, all my info. Motherfucker is shaking.
Huh.
And he's looking at me with the most scared look in his face. And all he could muster up was, I had no idea. I'm so very sorry. Like, here's your passport. Do you want me to help you walk back to the car? And this and that. Dude, the look on his face was like he was not in a good position. All of a sudden, door of the fucking cop station gets kicked open again, and it's Phantom just laughing, and he's like, you got the call, didn't you? You got the blood clot call. And then the whole police station starts laughing at the officer.
So that was all the fuck with you?
Yes. But I would have gone to jail. But Phantom got the name of the police officer from me, goes outside, calls the biggest gangster in Jamaica. That biggest gangster calls the police station, says, if you don't release this white man, you have to deal with me.
Dude, that's like the scariest baller-ass shit I've ever heard in my life.
Bro, that was one of the reasons where we started thinking, like me and Iberg, like, yo, we might want to get out of here.
Yeah, really. All right, we're going to jump into his final inappropriate question.
Now that you don't smoke weed in the morning, what do you do the other 37 hours that you're awake each day?
Oh, Rory knows me all too well. He knows that, especially in the ski time, I don't really sleep all that much, and I do wake up mad fucking early. But lately, I don't know, I make coffee, and I've been stretching a whole bunch, dude. Believe it or not, I try to take 45 minutes every day. I wake up right with my coffee and stretch. As weird as that sounds, man, stretching is the biggest thing that's been making the body feel good. And it gives me time to heal my mind and make my decisions about what I'm going to do for the day. And I'm confident about those decisions. I can do it. And it's gnarly to sit down for 45 minutes and not do anything and just clear your mind and really try to breathe and fall into your stretches. But once you start doing that and it starts clicking, holy shit, dude, the health benefits are out of this world.
And it's not weird at all to me. You're a professional elite athlete who should take time to focus on your body. I mean, I take time to focus on my emails because that's what I have to do for my professional life. And I try to get stretching and exercise in other ways. But yeah, it's not weird to me at all. And I will say I want to thank you for your time. It's been an honor having you on the podcast and would love to have you on again after maybe another Freeride World Tour victory. But always refreshing to talk to you and get your perspective. And man, you're the ski boss. You've been doing it forever, and it's always been a pleasure to watch, and I know you're going to be back stronger than ever because that Achilles is just a rope they have to just sew up thicker, and you'll be stronger and better than ever.
No doubt, pal. Well, thanks so much, dude. I really love listening to your podcast, and, dude, it's getting better and better every one you do, so just big respect for the support. A lot of respect out here for you, bro.
Thanks, man. Well, the respect goes both ways, and that is our podcast, my man. We are done. We did it.
Boom, bomb, connect, and let's connect again soon, bro.
Word.
Late.
So that was time with Tanner Hall, and I love dudes like Tanner. Sure, I may not agree with everything he says or does, but his skiing, and more important than that, his love of skiing is what really separates Tanner from the rest. I mean, everyone I put on the show loves to ski or snowboard, but it's rare to find people, even pros, who have the passion for the sport that Tanner has. I've seen Seth, I've seen Henrik, I've seen Phil Casaubon, and they all have it too. But that spirit, that love, it has always seemed the strongest with Tanner Hall. He's a living legend, and please buy his movie and support what he does. That's the podcast for this week. I want to thank you for listening, ask you to email me with any questions or concerns. My email is mike@thepowellmovement, and I will get back to you. I'd also like you to submit a review for the podcast. I'm going to explain how to do that after I read the review of the week. And while some weeks I'll read positive reviews, other weeks I'll read negative reviews. This is going to be a negative review week. And I got from Soundbite Podcast in January this review. I recently found Mike's podcast and was extremely excited about it after looking at the list of episodes and guests. I just listened to the Glenn Plake podcast and have to throw in the towel. The way Mike edits his podcast is not a free-flowing conversation. It's edited down and to me sounds like a CNN or a Fox Soundbite podcast. With all the awesome guests, it would be great to hear the whole conversation and get to know more about these guests and the life they lived. I hate to say it, but be more like Joe Rogan's podcast, unscripted, free-flowing, and unedited unless absolutely necessary. Well, to this review, I want to say, fuck you, sir. Glenn Plake is a guy who laughs, and laughs some more. So it does sound edited when I do a Glenn Plake podcast because if you've listened to all the ones that I've done, there are some where he laughs for 10 minutes and people have complained about that. Please cut some of that laughing because it is way too much. And the way that I edit my shows, I start in a line from start to finish. I'll cut some of the ums and the ahs, but I do not cut any of the context. It is not a soundbite podcast. So I thank you for your negative review. I appreciate it if you don't come back to my show and don't listen to it, but if you do, whatever, I'm cool with you listening to it either way. But I will let you know that I'm not rearranging conversations, not making this thing a soundbite podcast. So you, sir, are completely wrong, but that's okay. I'm wrong a lot of the time too. And if you want to submit a review, please do. It's very easy to do, especially if you have an iPhone. Here are the steps you need to take. First, hit the podcast icon on your iPhone. Second, search for the Powell Movement. Third, click my logo. Fourth, scroll down to where you see the stars. Fifth, hit 5 stars. And sixth, if you want to be considered for the review of the week, please submit a review. It takes a minute. Just write what you think about the show, hit submit. I will look at them, and if it is one of the top ones for me to read, I will put it into the podcast at the end of the show. It is greatly appreciated. I thank you for doing it. I want to thank everyone for listening. I want to ask you to support my amazing sponsors. They are Stanley, the 10 Barrel Brewery, Weed Maps, Peter Glenn Ski and Sports, Glade Optics, and Elon Skis. Please use the codes in the ads to get discounts on the products that these guys sell. They're amazing. They make the show happen. You make the show happen as well because you listen. Have a great week, everyone.